Nace, as you guys come back home right now, sort of starting to see that game come around again, how important has it been through this stretch to, have known what was successful, to sort of get back there? It's like having felt that before, right? Like, how much does that help you through a process?
Yeah, it's just it's sticking to what we know and sticking to the game. You see videos, you go through the ups and downs of seasons. It's part of the growing pains. You know what I mean? So yeah, just we know how to win. We know what we need to do to be successful, and every game is a challenge, and you take it day by day.
And what does that look like in your estimation against a team like Tampa Bay, who have a lot of firepower, just like you guys do?
Yeah, they beat us pretty good, twice so far. So we're just looking for a good response overall, and just try to get back in the winning ways here.
And I mean, just to elaborate on that, when you talk about like finding that winning way, like what's that like 1 degree more that you guys need right now?
It's probably just all being on the same pages. It's making sure that we do little things right. So I could just say for our line, a great example, just knowing what the other person's going to do ahead of before they know they're going to do it, right? And that way you're on the same page, and it makes playing a lot easier.
I think for the last 5 games have been 3-2 scores, some for, some against. Is the margin that close to finding your way back?
Yeah, I don't think we're too far off. I know there's probably a few games that we wish, obviously wish we had back, but even if we didn't play our best hockey, like you said, it's still relatively tight and close games. So that's a good thing. Sometimes you got to find ways to win with your B game, and we surely didn't have our top game for a little bit of that road trip, and looking to reset, come back home.
On the power play, teams are pressuring the Devils a lot lately. It seems getting after you. So that seems to have disrupted the process to a degree. How do you handle that?
Well, it's supporting each other. It's getting open. It's trusting each other. It's finding sticks underneath. It's just attacking. Again, you need 5 guys on the same page. You get all 5 guys on the same page, you usually have some pretty good success.
Has it put the team off a little bit, that I won't say inability to handle the pressure, but not handle it correctly?
Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe. I think anytime you don't get, you don't score on the power play, I think you're a little frustrated, and even if you get good looks, it's probably a little bit different. But we haven't really had too many, high quality danger looks either. So, it's just.
How do you get
process? Well, I kind of just said it's getting on the inside, supporting each other. It's getting 5 together, being all on the same page, and once you get everyone on the same page, things go.
I asked Sheldon this question just wanting a player's perspective. Obviously, you never want to go through stretches like that. You want to get all of the wins, but when you go through those stretches, how much do you learn about your group to pull yourselves out of them, and how beneficial is it to experience that maybe in the middle of the season to help you later on in the year?
Yeah, I've been through a few different situations where you go through bumps in the road, and there's no better time to go through a bump in the middle of the season rather than at the end, right? So you want to be at your best hockey towards the end. Obviously, you have to play very well in order to get to the end as well. So it's it's better to go through things earlier rather than later, and you do learn a lot. You learn how guys face adversity. You understand how guys dig in and prepare themselves maybe differently than I guess maybe they would otherwise if things are going good. And it's also you still got to have fun while doing this. If we're truthfully, you're way too uptight, you're just going to be thinking about it too much, and then it's never good for anybody.
Do you think that's been the biggest obstacle, just like the mentality of it, or is maybe there another challenge on the ice?
I don't think the mentality of it has changed much. We know we got in here. We're a great team. But we are building. We have things we got to learn. This team. We didn't make the playoffs last year, right? So. You still got to learn how to win and figure things out, and we've done a good job at it so far this year, and just got to keep building.
Dilly, over this last stretch, I'm curious what you've learned about this group, facing adversity and the way your team has dug in to try and get out of it as a group. What have you learned about this group?
Oh,
I think like most teams in this league, when you go through a tough stretch, like, everybody cares. I mean, everybody wants to be winning. We want to do the right thing. Sometimes it goes the other way where if you're not scoring or things aren't going your way, you force it, and it almost kind of doubles down on the negative stuff. And I think one thing about this locker room since I've got here is whether it's Jack Hughes or anybody on the third, fourth lines, like everybody is like so dialed in and wanting to have success, and that's not like individual success. It's like we want to win. And for 37 games or whatever it was before Christmas, things were going really well, and you got to expect these kind of, as you play in the league and see there's ups and downs throughout the season. Usually when the downs and you're going through a losing streak, like we've gone 5 of the last 6, like you can kind of see the true colors, and you can go one of two ways. You can start yelling at each other and causing rifts, and the sky is falling, or you can try to at least learn, like, why are we not having success? What parts of our game, is it certain 5-on-5 instances? Is it certain shifts we can be better on? Where are things lacking? And that's what we got to just really hone in on until we can get things back going the right way.
When you talk about a stretch like this, how valuable and how important was the success to the degree that you guys had right before it, knowing that when you're in it, when you're playing that works?
Yeah, well, it's clear as day when we watch the video on it. You can compare the same lines, same D pairs, same team, but 2 different results. So it's not one thing. It's not like it's one guy. Everyone's kind of had their part in us not having success over the last whatever it is. So we've just got to find a way to everybody individually, starting with your own personal game. When you're playing well personally, there's usually a good chance that your pair or your line is going to go well, or your PK or your power play, whatever it is. We all just got to do our part, and hopefully it'll work out.
As a decor, things really haven't changed since Brett and Luke came back. You guys have been the same 6 guys. How valuable is that? Obviously, you're playing with Dougie mostly, but all each other in certain instances. How valuable has that been?
It's super beneficial. When you get to know that guy and get to know the guy off the ice, practices, we're going on whatever it is, 4 months now of, like you said, basically being with the same guys. So good, bad, or indifferent, you know what's to be expected from them in their game. For me and Dougie specifically, we watch each other's shifts. We watch our shifts after games, talk about it the next day. We know what we need to do, as individuals to be successful. And, a lot of us, I feel like we've, kind of one guy's the defensive guy, one guy's the offensive guy. And I think we've just been on all pairs trying to teach each other and learn from each other too. We've got a great back end that's had a lot of success for the season. And, I think for even the forward lines, a lot of them have been the same. And when things are going good, usually if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, we just got to get back to our winning ways.
And then when you look at Tampa, obviously a team that you guys haven't had that success against this year, again, you can't always, compare because it's been so long, but what do you sort of need to do as a group here to get back?
Well, Stanley Cup pedigree, this team. They got a lot of those guys that have won on that team. And when you watch the clips of them and where they get their success from, it's just old-fashioned hard work. They're top-end guys, the Points and the Hagels and the Kucherovs. They're some of their hardest-working guys and most competitive guys. And, when you go into a corner with the guy or you go into the net front and you win that battle, whether it's on the offensive or defensive end, you're going to have success. So I think something for our group, who we want to be, one of those organizations that's has that Stanley Cup pedigree one day. And, looking at the last 2 we played against these guys, they've kind of taken it to us. So it's a good time in the schedule. There's no easy games when you look at the stretches we've got. And, it's a good team that'll be a good test for us tonight.
On or off the ice, when reflecting on this stretch, what do you think the biggest obstacle has been for the team to overcome overall?
Biggest obstacle, I guess, would be just not beat ourselves. I think learning that, no team, doesn't matter if they're 32nd in the league or first, like there's so much parity and teams are so good. The young players in this league, they can all score. So all it takes is one mistake or one error and it's in the back of your net. And to play from behind, to have to rely on, a goal, like it's not a recipe for success. So I think for our team, we're always learning. We've still got a lot of young players, and even for guys like myself, there's something new going on in the league every year. So we've just got to continue to stick together. Not play the blame game or get down on one another, which has been great. We've still been positive in here, which has been nice, and we still got a lot of runway here where we got to continue to get better.
How much of that has to do with just buying into the structure or staying with it and maybe not getting away from that?
Yeah, sticking with it is a perfect example of whether you've lost 5 in a row or won 5 in a row. You're usually maybe tinkering a few things, but for the most part, your structure is your structure. That's what we've done from day one at training camp. We've seen black and white when it works, and when it doesn't, it's pretty crystal clear too. So we've done a lot of good stuff, and you see teams around the league go through losing streaks, and when you start making it all, it's this guy or that guy, or it's this reason or that reason. We just got to play better, and when I say play better, is just trust what has worked for us. And when you trust it, we're probably going to have a good chance of having success.
Thanks. If you look back before Christmas, 5-game stretch winning at home, and then going on the road, having to travel and having back-to-backs, afternoon games. All of these are factors, not necessarily excuses, but now getting to come home, sleep in your own bed, get back to the solid routine, being here at home. How valuable is that? Maybe overlooked when you look at the comparison between the two.
No, it's a big thing, especially when you're it's coast to coast, and it's the schedule's been weird this year. With the Four Nations, with us starting in Prague, there's been a lot of different factors that have come in. For me personally, this is my first time kind of really experiencing the true Eastern schedule. So guys that have been here for a long time, and it's we got to go all the way to the West Coast. I'm I guess whatever, 5-hour flight, no problem. I guess it'd be good, but. There's a little bit of that stuff. Every team has to do it, though, so for us to use it as an excuse of why we've lost a few or whatever. I mean, the Carolina games, right, they had the same schedule as us. We had to travel back-to-back, and I think that was a game where we felt we should have won it. We were in a position, we were leading in the third period, and those are the games that we need to be able to buckle down on. So there's been a few different factors. For the most part, we're pretty healthy. Obviously, Hollow's out now for a little bit, but we feel that we've got to be, whatever the situation, circumstance, teams got to expect a tough game against the Devils. They got to expect a structured and hard game, and we've got to get back to that.
Sheldon, you have a group here who you were able to kind of give a really valuable day off yesterday. How did you sort of feel this morning was, and really given what you guys have been through, how important was that extra day for you guys?
It's important. We're going to take tomorrow off as well, as I think you're still kind of in that mode, but certainly are more recharged here today, both in our energy levels and the fact that I think excited to be back playing in this building where we had played very well leading into Christmas. So hoping all of that gives us a boost and we're ready to go.
When you're going through a stretch like you guys have right now, how important was the prior stretch where things were going so well, because that you can rely on that structure, getting back to that the fruits of that labor?
Yeah. I mean the examples are there and the standard is set. I think at the same time it kind of works against you in some ways, where when it doesn't look like that, all of a sudden one night you can kind of get down on yourself pretty quickly. So we got to keep some proper perspective here. Trust that we can get back to that, but recognize that the season's going to have ups and downs and all these various things, and just gotta sort of wash what's happened in the past and tackle each day as it comes. So it's a good opportunity for us here to get on home ice. We got a good team coming in that has taken it to us pretty good here in the 2 times we played them previously. So we'll certainly be put to the test again, but that's where you like to be, is challenged.
You talk about perspective. How have you liked the way your team has kept that perspective, or maybe not?
I've liked it. I like that our guys are, not happy when it's not going well, and at least can say the right things in terms of recognizing what's going on. The young guys want to get better. They don't just forget about it or move on. Eventually you want them to move on and turn the page, but it's not without digesting it and discussing it. And I think that's a positive sign for our team, is they have high expectations for themselves and for each other.
What do you feel the Lightning gave you guys the most trouble with in the previous 2 games that need to be corrected?
Well, I think both games I thought were a little different. I thought in the one game in here early on in the season was I thought that they competed at a really high level, and we didn't match that. And I thought that was less of an issue when we saw them the second time around, but they defended real hard and made it very difficult to get to the net and generate much offense. So, but as a team, Tampa, they to me have been standard in the Eastern Conference for quite some time and make it hard on you every night. With their combination of skill and speed and tenacity and all of those sorts of things. It's a team that you give the puck too much to, they make you look bad, and they defend real hard and block shots, all those sorts of things, and then they're backed up by elite goaltending. So lots of things to contend with there, but as I said, as a team, especially when you're trying to find your best game, you want to be challenged, and we certainly will be tonight.
Coach, just reflecting on the recent stretch, whether it's on or off the ice, what do you think has been the biggest challenge for your team overall to overcome?
I would say just the schedule. As you're not playing well and you don't really have the practice time or the recovery time, and you're traveling around, and it's when you come out of Christmas break, you're not going to feel your best, but you don't really have time to get your feet under you and really kind of solidify yourself. I think that's been the greatest challenge, which is again why we took yesterday off as a chance to just sort of recover, and to me that's been the biggest challenge, and that's to connect back to Amanda's earlier question, when you have seen it and you've played so well for the stretch of time that we did in this building, in particular leading up to Christmas, you know what it's supposed to look like and what you're capable of. So when it slips a little bit, you got to look to some other factors, and I think that has been one that. You don't want to make excuses, but it's certainly a hard one to ignore, and there's some realities in the schedule. In fact, this Tampa team also had a difficult time out in California coming out of Christmas. So, there's things like that happen over the course of 82 games that, from the outsider's perspective, perhaps it looks frustrating or can be frustrating, and that's understandable. But on the inside, sometimes there's some circumstances that make it hard. But we can only hang on to that for so long. We've got to get ourselves back to it, and I expect better here today, both being in this building and after a little bit more time to recover, as I've talked about.
Tampa's been successful on the power play in the last 2 meetings, 4 for 5 on the man advantage. So as a coach, when you're looking back at the tape, what is the big thing that they bring on the power play, and what are going to be the focal points for the PK moving forward tonight?
Well, I say Tampa's been successful on the power play for many years, not just the 2 games against the New Jersey Devils, but the elite talent. First thing is we got to stay out of the penalty box. Don't give them extra opportunities, and then when you do have to defend against them, it's the same old tale. Win the face-off, get clears, limit how much time you spend in your own end, disrupt them as best as possible. And hope for some good fortune. There's elite players that have produced at a very high level over a long period of time that find ways to make you look bad if you don't find ways to limit their time.
Sheldon, sticking with special teams, the power play over the last 17 games has struggled when you compare it to the first 27 games of the season. But yet when you look at the chances from the slot, they're pretty consistent in both of those segments. And so is it just, not to simplify it, it's just the guys are not bearing their chances right now?
Yeah, I think there's some of that. I mean, some of it is missed chances, and it affects the overall numbers. But some of it's process related. Some of it's the opposition is adjusting, and the Rangers have a very good penalty kill, and Tampa does here as well tonight. So I don't know. You kind of look at different samples, like even the samples you just said. I mean, 17 games is a strange number. What happened on game 18? I don't know. We try to look at a game at a time, and coming out of last game, there's some things we want to do better for sure. I guess that penalty kill, it's going to look similar to the one that we'll see today in terms of pressure and the skill level to counter when you make mistakes. So we just got to find our ways through that, stay with it. But I think along the way, I think as you mentioned with the slot shots and the chances and expected goals and such, we should be scoring more than we have, but we probably scored more than maybe we should have at different points of the season as well. So, it kind of comes and goes, so we just got to, again, remain confident and execute when we get our chances. We haven't had a great deal of power plays here of late, so it's hard to get a rhythm, when that's the case. Again, connecting it back to the Christmas break and such, like coming out of that, we haven't had a lot of reps, a lot of opportunities, so it's been a little disjointed as our 5-on-5 game.
You talked about the pressure in the last couple of games. What you expect tonight? their PK. So how does the power play in terms of the process? What is something? What do the four guys without the puck have to do as that pressure comes to the guy who has?
Yeah, you got to get available. Guy with the puck's got to maybe move it a little bit quicker than he would expect to, but in order to do so, you got to have options. So guys off the puck have got to move. You got to break the pressure. They're going to force you hard to the outside on the perimeter, and you don't want to talk too much about it or give too much up in terms of what your plan is. But dealing with pressure is difficult. On our penalty kill, we try to apply our own pressure, and they got some very elite penalty killers that skate very well, great instincts on both forward and defense. So all of that combined, it makes it tough. But we have had success and found ways to succeed against penalty kills such as this, and we just got to trust it and execute.
Coach, in terms of your penalty kill, do you see that evolving? You have Jack and Brad on the ice, and they get a scoring chance in this game. Do you think that is maybe part of the strategy for more teams now, just to maybe be a little more aggressive?
Yeah, I think so. I think that stuff sort of comes and goes. I think, I've in my time in the league, 5 years or whatever, I've seen different versions already. You've seen very passive penalty kills, protect inside, and just sort of block shots and grind you out. To now, it's starting to get. Then it was these diamonds that were very passive and protecting lanes. Now the diamonds are getting a lot more aggressive and pressing outside. And look at a team like Philadelphia last year that had such success at scoring it while shorthanded. So that gets the league's attention, and they start maybe pushing the envelope a little more. That's not necessarily our strategy. I think ultimately the mindset is to kill the penalty, and that's important. But you do want to be able to counter, and the more skill you have on the ice, you can do that. So, Jack and Brad are certainly get teams' attention when they're out there, and that's the idea. But, I think ultimately we want our guys going over the boards with the mindset of keeping the puck out of our net and picking our spots appropriately.